Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Talking God and Politics with Mark, Mike, and the eye candy of the show, my lovely wife, Denise. Hope everyone is doing well and you had a great week. There's just so much to talk about in the news. Mark, what's going on?
Absolutely, there is. Oh man, looks like Trump was MIA for about 3-4 days, and everybody thought he was dead. Man, X was going nuts.
I saw that.
Because they're so used to him working, 15 hours a
Right.
day.
They're like, "Where is he? He's got a
because he's dead." Yes.
yeah." They're like, "Oh, he's got a bruise on his hand. He must be dead."
Well, I don't know how that guy survives though, sleeping 3 hours a day, 3 or 4
I don't
hours.
either. I saw a thing. So in my past, I followed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I was kind of into NFL. I'm not a big sports guy, but I was kind of following them. And John Gruden, I really like that guy. And he's the same way. He would not sleep 3 hours a day. That's about it.
Wow.
And it was funny because he got kicked out of the NFL because he said he supposedly made a racial remark, but I don't think it was. It was something about some black guy, but he didn't really. They took it as racial, and he resigned from the. He was coaching Nevada Raiders at the time, and he had to resign. But Trump met him on the golf course. So when Trump came back from the dead on the golf course, he was playing golf with John Gruden, who also only gets 3 hours of sleep. So there you go.
It was a really good day for you. You found out Trump was alive, and he was golfing with one of your.
Oh yeah, great day.
I hear sarcasm.
Yeah. Just a little.
Well, we've got quite a few videos to share off of X that I put on my wall, most of them from my wife's wall. But do you have anything you want to lead off on as far as the economy?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do. So interesting thing out by this. I started following this guy, Peter St. Onge. He's a PhD. I don't know. Everybody with PhDs got to throw that in there,
Of course.
Make sure that they're doctors. But he is. I like the things he talks about. I found him, I guess, about a month ago, so I wanted to share his take on what the federal government now owes more than the entire net worth of the American people. Either we pass a balanced budget amendment or we go full Japan or Argentina.
Oops. Did I pull up the wrong?
I don't know. Did I do that? There we go. Oh, yeah. That's you.
That's me. Okay. Well, hang on a second here.
Here, let me. Oops. All right. Let me go try to grab it here.
It's one thing I don't like about StreamYard is that what's in the menu is so small you can't really.
There we go. So here's the guy.
There we go.
Let's see. We'll back up here.
Federal deficit exploded last month despite tariff revenue flooding in as Congress's freight train speeds us straight off the cliff. First, the good news, tariff revenue is now coming in at $250 billion annualized, which in theory creates room for income tax cuts that are far more helpful than tariffs. But then the very bad news, last month the federal government spent $630 billion, which is $7.5 trillion annualized. That's nearly 10% up in a year, and notably the economy did not grow 10% last year, so the American people.
So I want to point out real quick, Keynesian economics, that's what they believe. The more money the government spends, the better our economy will get because it'll flow down into businesses and people. And we're living through the fact that is a big lie. But that is one of the main tenets of Keynesian economics.
Lost round. This put the federal government in deficit for an annualized $3.5 trillion. Moreover, that deficit is up 20% last year. We definitely didn't grow 20% last year. In fact, it was the first July outside of the COVID spending orgy in 2020. Now, this is all pretty weird considering small government Republicans have total control of Washington plus Doge's big balls. So what's driving it? In raw numbers, year-to-date spending 290
adjectives
last year. About a fifth of that is added interest on the national debt, which is now the second biggest category after Social Security, as in we are borrowing the interest payments. Of the remaining 319, fully 92% was mandatory programs like
Okay, Mark. Now your
was
guy.
just a tiny little 16 billion spending bump, about 0.5%. Made a 43 billion more on military and border, and an actual cut of 17 billion in non-defense discretionary, meaning everything from U.S. aid to CDC to the Department of Education. So while media loves pinning worst deficit ever on Trump, roughly 96% of the spending came either from legacy debt or from social programs Congress puts on autopilot so they don't have to actually vote for 96% of spending increases.
So all these were done before Trump came in office. But when that big, beautiful bill goes into full effect on down the road, about 5 years from now, he'll be the one that kicked in at wherever we are at that point, probably $45-50 trillion. But yeah, that's the state of the economy, and it's not good. Again, there was this belief for a long time that the more the government spent, the better we would be. Well, we've reached the point now that I think even the Keynesians are going to have to look for another idea on that, because we're way off the cliff. We always, what was it? Even 5 years ago, we talked about how we're getting close to the cliff. We're off the cliff and heading straight down. It's
Right.
I don't know what is going to happen in 5 or 6 years from now. I don't know. Hopefully we'll still have the dollar will be the world currency. Because if it's not,
We're a little bit more optimistic and bolder than you. We're hoping and praying that we just get rid of the Fed altogether, and we kind of do what Germany did, and we just kind of give the finger
proverbial
to the Rothschilds and the central banks.
I hope so.
And just say, hey, we're starting all over.
Yep.
We're starting without you.
Yeah.
We're printing our own currency. See
Yep.
you later.
Yep.
And that's the only solution, Mark.
That has been the only solution for
Right.
at least the last 125 years. So
it's funny because I saw our Congressman Tim Burchett post on X. He said, "Get rid of the Fed," and I'm like, "Yeah." And then we saw him at the Mexican restaurant. Just was it last night? And he remembered me. We had talked in his office about that whole Anti-Semitism Awareness Act bill, and I told him that was totally unconstitutional. I was disappointed that he signed that, and we talked about Israel and stuff. But so they know, and I'm not going to divulge any private conversations or anything, but it seems like he knows a lot, and he probably knows a lot about some other situations as well. So
yeah,
very, very optimistic about some of these guys, even though they don't talk about certain things in front of the camera, which sometimes might be a wise thing. They know more than we think, and we criticize them relentlessly, but they know a lot. So we're going to kind of skip into, we've been taken over since 1913, segueing from the Fed and the Rothschilds to the Rockefellers. The Rockefellers took over our medical system a long time ago. So we have generations, Mark and Babe, that don't know anything else. Like, they don't know anything about the Fed and that we've been taken over, because this is just the system that they were born into, generations of this. And they have no idea that our current medical system, I can't remember, I think it was like 95% of the medical practices have not been proven scientifically that they actually implement. The only really good thing about our medical system is the emergency medical system. If you get in a car accident, we're going to keep you alive, and we're the best in the world at doing it. But when it comes to treating disease, the Rockefellers destroyed naturopathy, herbology, phytotherapy.
Didn't Rockefeller start the American Medical Association so that he could, with all the licensing, so they could actually weed out people that actually wanted. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we live in a medical cartel, and it is run by the American Medical Association without question.
Yeah. He Rockefeller is the one that started funding all of these medical schools, but told them that in order to receive the funding, they had to promote his petroleum-based meds, and they had to get rid of the naturopathic medicines that they had been using. So that's where we are. That's the lovely system that I work in.
Now, within that system came along psychiatry, okay? And I've studied this a lot in the past because my ex-wife, after we got married, she decided to tell me she was chemically depressed, bipolar, taking these meds, which started explaining a lot of different things. But set that aside, then she tried to get some of my kids on this crap after she decided she was no longer in love and, we got a divorce. She decided she was going to try and put my 10-year-old son on this. And it happened for about a day. And then I found out he had no personality. And if anyone knows my son, Caleb, he is like the most extrovert, even when he was younger. I mean, he walks into the room. He's the life of the party. He's just a real social, outgoing person. And he was just numb. Like he had no personality at all. Mm-hmm. And so I took a deep dive into this stuff like I always do. If there's something I'm going to research, I'm going to research it and I'm going to find the answers. That's just the way I am. And I did. And I went back to that counselor and I ripped him a new one. Let's just put it that way. And I got custody of my kids, and that didn't happen ever again. But in doing that, I had to research this. And Tom Cruise is someone who, I'm not going to believe anything he has to say because it's Scientology, and Scientology is, known for this. Look, what Tom Cruise is going to say here in this interview it's a long time ago, has been backed by scientific research, real scientific research. And so we're going to play this, then we're going to play something by Kennedy, because we're all these transgenders and school shootings. It's a pattern, and it's been a pattern for a long time. And everyone and their grandma has known that it's been the introduction of these, SSRIs, these antidepressants that even tell you can cause suicide thoughts and thoughts of killing other people, right? But they've never been held accountable by lawsuits, just like the vaccines. And so I think there's some things that are changing. I think we're starting to take back what the Rockefellers stole from us. So we're going to start here, and then we'll segue in here.
Here we are today, where I talk out against drugs and psychiatric abuses of electric shocking people, okay, against their will, of drugging children with them not knowing the effects of these drugs. Do you know what Adderall is? Do you know Ritalin? Do you know now that Ritalin is a street drug? Do you understand that? The difference is this was not against her will, though. Matt, I'm asking you a question. Matt, I'm asking you a question. I understand there's abuse of all of these things. No, you see, here's the problem. You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do. All it does is mask the problem, Matt. And if you understand the history of it, it masks the problem. That's what it does. That's all it does. You're not getting to the reason why. There is no such thing as a chemical imbalance. I'm saying that drugs aren't the answer, that these drugs are very dangerous. They're mind-altering, antipsychotic drugs. And there are ways of doing it without that, so that we don't end up in a brave new world. Yes, there are abuses. And yes, maybe they've gone too far in certain areas. Maybe there are too many kids on Ritalin. Maybe electric shock. Kids on Ritalin. I'm just saying. But aren't there examples where it works? Matt.
I love that.
Matt. You don't even know what Ritalin is. If you start talking about chemical imbalance, you have to evaluate and read the research papers on how they came up with these theories, Matt. Okay? That's what I've done. And you go and you say, where's the medical test? Where's the blood test that says how much Ritalin you're supposed to get? It's very impressive to listen to you, because clearly you've done the homework and you know the subject. And you should. And you should do that also, because just knowing people who are on Ritalin isn't enough. You should be a little bit more responsible in knowing. I'm really not prescribing Ritalin, Tom, and I'm not asking anyone else to do it. Well, you are. You're saying no. I know some people who seem to have been helped. But you're saying, this is a very important issue. this is a very, and you know what, and you're here on the Today Show, right? And to talk about it in a way of saying, well, isn't it okay, and being reasonable about it when you don't know, and I do. I think that you should be a little bit more responsible in knowing what it is, because you communicate to people.
You know, very well said. But we go on here because now we're going to go to Kennedy.
I think you have to get out of the post or something.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. I've got so much stuff on my wall. Here we go.
Okay.
This common drink may be the fastest solution to eliminate
Sorry,
the
guys.
parasite behind type 2
Oh,
diabetes.
you got an ad.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. Always
True
have
that
that.
eating eggs can cause
Oh,
type 2.
God.
It's a
Yes, and
rumble.
very
No
few
wonder.
people have the courage to talk about it. The true cause of type.
See you.
My question was, in light of the recent resignation to the CDC, how are you ensuring that agency is able to do its job effectively?
I would say this, that first of all, I will confirm that we let go Susan Menares yesterday. I'm not going to talk about personnel issues, but you know, the CDC is
I don't think this
very
is it.
troubled
This is not it.
for a very long time.
Sorry.
Well, this is where he fired. That's where he fired that satanic weirdo. I'm sorry, the satanic weirdo that quit the CDC because of the things. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the satanic weirdo.
Yes.
Freak.
Let's go to.
And I don't know if I can find it, but we'll play this instead.
This is Tucker's interview. This is the science behind
needles into people's spine, and you can draw out fluid, and you can look at the metabolites of things like serotonin, and you can get depressed people and undepressed people and say, is there any difference in the actual amount of serotonin floating around in the brain? Every time they've done this, they have not found that there is any difference between depressed and undepressed people. But there's no difference? There is no difference. Because that's why we don't use any biological markers in the diagnosis of any psychiatric conditions. No brain scans, no blood tests. They're not useful because there are no ways, like actual biological ways to differentiate depressed people from undepressed people. Are you serious? Absolutely. And the way they justify it was, well, okay, so we haven't found it yet, but it must be a medical problem, and we're eventually going to find it. And rather than admitting that, in the meantime, we'll just tell people it's a chemical imbalance because it's just an easy kind of like metaphor for them to understand, and it helps us dish out the drugs without people asking too many questions. But it's untrue. It's untrue. Therefore, physicians should not say that, or they should lose their medical license.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So my take, just real quickly, the doctors. And I'm not saying all doctors, and this is my opinion, take it for that what you will, but I think most of the doctors today, and this is why I don't go to a doctor. I don't like doctors. I haven't for a while. I have a nurse practitioner, and she's great, but they don't tell you the truth. Stop eating this. Don't do this. Get more exercise. They just prescribe drugs. They just hand you drugs. Mm-hmm. I saw a blurb yesterday. Pfizer has been around for 176 years and never cured anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mark, on that point, here's a doctor talking about that very issue. Watch this.
We get penalized if, and the doctor gets penalized now too, if a patient doesn't take their prescription every day. And the only way the insurance company knows that is how often do you get it filled.
I was about to say, how would they even know that?
So if you got samples, they don't know it. If you went to the hospital, they don't really know you got some from the hospital. And if you don't take it right on time, we get dinged. Like they pay us less or take money out of our check because this grandmother down the road didn't take it. Well, my mother, I've gotten her so healthy, she's off of her blood pressure medicine. And every day, somebody from that insurance company is calling her saying, you need to refill your medicine. You need to refill your medicine, because they also get money off of every time something's filled. They're just hounding her about it. And if your local pharmacy won't do it, our mail order needs to start sending it to you. And she goes, no, he actually has improved my blood pressure with lifestyle changes and magnesium and all these other things. I don't have blood pressure problems anymore. And so instead of getting, I should get a check, a reward for that. And I'm getting penalized because she's not taking the pills.
That's
which
crazy.
is a greater outcome for everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's
Well, and a
like
lot of doctors have taken themselves
most
out
industries
of
quit
out
on
of
purpose and efficiency.
the
They just quit and they just
system
won't
because
quit
they
worrying
don't
about
agree with
overall
all of
health.
that. They're doing what he's saying.
I don't know
They're
why he's
focused
talking like
on
this. It's going-
what way to keep people locked in long term.
You with us?
Exactly.
Ma-
Especially
Can you
once
hear
you
us?
get that Medicare.
Hey, chat. Can you hear us? I can't hear Mike at all.
So you couldn't hear the video playing? Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you.
Are you there?
I'm not hearing anything, Mike.
Well, we can hear
We-
you.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear Mike? If you can hear me, can you hear Mike and Denise?
Huh.
Because I'm getting nothing.
I
Maybe
can
it's
hear,
my
but
headphones. Stay
they're
here,
saying
ants.
it's you. It's not us. Sorry, folks. We're having some technical difficulties. So, babe, a blonde walks into a library and she says to the librarian, "I would like a cheeseburger." And the librarian says, "Ma'am, you're in a library." And the blonde says, "I'm so sorry. Can I have a cheeseburger, please?" That's my joke.
That's so weird,
The
man.
one joke I know. Come on, Mark. You got to get back on.
All right, you can hear me, but I can't hear you, and I don't know why.
I don't know. And everybody can hear
Both
both
of
of
That's
us.
us.
odd. Let's
Oh,
try this. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the studio, and I will come back in. How about that?
Okay, you got the link, right?
Well, he can't hear you, so.
It's true. It's true. I don't know sign language, so. All right. Well, while we're waiting for Mark, babe, talk to people. Being a nurse, you're in the Rockefeller drug industry.
I'm in it.
Is it not difficult for you? Sometimes you just feel like you're a pill pusher.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a pill pusher all of the time. And I do talk to people quite a bit about the meds that they're on, what they should be doing differently. I work right now on the heart tower. I work with patients a day after they have had open heart surgery. You know, it's very frustrating sometimes. Hey, are you back with us?
I'm back. Okay.
There we
Okay,
go.
you can hear
That
us.
was that was very weird. I don't know what happened.
It's all good. So, okay, so that last clip, you were talking and the video was talking, and we kind of got some technical problems. But what did you want to say about that video? And then we had some thoughts.
Well, I think it just comes down to, well, a couple of things. I think there is the drugs. I mean, like I said, Pfizer has been around 176 years and they've never cured anything. And the proliferation of drugs, just even in the last 10 years, has gotten out of control. And doctors don't look at your lifestyle anymore. They accept your lifestyle and they prescribe drugs to help you get through it, whether it's eating too much, drinking too much, salt intake, whatever, lack of exercise, whatever it is. Well, we can fix it with this. We'll fix it with this, fix it with this. The majority of doctors have done that. I think the good ones, and not to say that there's not good ones still in the system, but if you look at it, a lot of them have taken themselves out of the system because of this reality that it's just, they're pushing drugs. That's why I don't like doctors. I don't go to a doctor because to me, all the ones I've gone to have been drug pushers. And that's all they've ever done.
Right. And that video proves that that's exactly what they're doing, and they're paid to do that. Now, Kennedy just passed something that said doctors will no longer be financially rewarded for giving vaccines. So, and that's another,
huge.
Yeah, that is huge.
That is huge.
That
Which
is
should have
huge.
never been the case to begin with.
I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes. A certain percentage of all of your patients that gets vaccines, you get a certain kickback.
Now you know why you're
Yeah.
always badgered when you have a baby and they're like, you're not going to get your kid. Come on, let's get him back. Come on, let's get him vaccinated. No, wait a second. Let's you know, and they give you this guilt trip. And
Right.
yet, I mean, they're getting paid for every vaccine that they
Yep.
get. So
that's why I love my nurse practitioner. She knows I'm a weirdo. She doesn't push any of that stuff.
Mark, everybody knows you.
That's true. No argument.
So it looks like overall, Kennedy is slowly but surely, you know, we've criticized him here and there, but we have to remember this is a war. And
That's
in
right.
war, there's little battles, and you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. And you have to compromise to get a bigger goal, you know, to achieve more sometimes. And it looks like you're compromising, but really it's more strategy, right, babe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, you know, look, as I said 4 episodes ago, or 3 episodes, I've jumped off the Trump bandwagon, but I'll tell you, Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. are doing a great job.
So let's talk about maybe getting back on the Trump bandwagon.
Yeah, what is he
because
saying?
he has come out now, and Alex Jones is reporting that he is now, and he also put out a Truth Social, you know, saying, okay, maybe I haven't been told the truth about warp speed.
Which, yeah, I think that's a load of crap. I think he knew the whole time. He had to have known. There's so many. Well, I don't know, because Alex is like, no, we've pressed him on this for years, and he's gotten mad at us and told us to, you know,
shove it
and everything else. So he really was, I guess, in the dark on this, and everyone in the United States knew that Operation Warp Speed was a horrific disaster, and everyone knew that these vaccines were causing turbo cancers, and I don't know how he didn't. And it's kind of amazing, but he seems to be turning course on that. And he put out a Truth Social that just really said, hey, look, I want to get to the bottom of this now. And that was his word, like now. Like, I'm pissed off about it. Everyone's going after Kennedy on this. I want to have the definitive solution. So we're going to investigate this, which is awesome.
Well, you know, he said that about Epstein too, and he said it about
good point. Good, babe.
We'll see. Not holding my breath.
Okay, here we go. We found it. This is Mr. Jones.
Monday, September 1st, 2025. Labor Day is an incredible day in not just American history, but world history. President Trump has changed course massively. His statement is on Infowars.com. It's supposed to write it on X, Alex Jones. He came out and said, listen, I'm calling for a full investigation of warp speed. I was told a bunch of information. Now I'm finding out that a lot of people say it's not accurate. RFK Jr. He brought in RFK Jr. to do the investigation. RFK's got big reports on autism, directly linked and proven to be from the previous shots, like the hepatitis shot. And Trump is getting ready to go after Fauci and all of them. I can tell you they are under criminal investigation. There are grand juries. I wasn't going to release that information yet, but I can tell you that's going on. So when I told you this is a new Trump, folks, it is. He got sent for warp speed. We know how they did it. They already had it on the shelf years before, already made. They had the COVID in the lab. Those documents have come out. Peter Daszak, Fauci, Google funded it at Wuhan. It was an Obama project that even broke in 2015 at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And now Trump understands what's going on and is going after Big Pharma. Kennedy just fired a whole bunch of people at HHS and CDC that were undermining him when he was banning new mRNA shots and more. They just took the mercury out of all the shots that bans almost every shot previously made, and most of the current ones. They're getting the poison food dyes out, the fluoride out, all of it. This is so exciting. This was the big sticking point. This was the big fly in the ointment for so many people. And because Trump was so much better than the Democrats, and we knew they were for total lockdowns and forced injections and totally on by Bill Gates, I was like, look, Trump's better. Watch, he's bringing in Kennedy. And he did. And now that he says, oh, well, I thought it was the greatest thing ever, but I may have been misled. So we're investigating. And who's he have doing it? RFK Jr., that is a super expert on it, of course, wrote the real Anthony Fauci. So thank God And thank God for all of you spreading the word, getting the information out, all the studies, and Dr. Robert Malone, and Dr. Peter McCullough, and Dr. Michael Yeadon, and the list goes on and on. I mean, this is incredible. So to all the InfoWars, the tip of the spear, and Dr. Francis Boyle, who died earlier this year, was the first to break it all in actually January of 2020.
Yeah.
But this was their Disease X, their big global power grab plan in the Rockefeller Foundation, lockstep plan, the Bill Gates plan, Event 201, the UN plan to use a pandemic to bring in their global government under a medical dictatorship, and instead of whoop their face and trigger the Great Awakening. And they can run from the truth, but they can't hide. This is so historic. This is such good news, not just for the 30 million killed by the shots, the millions killed by the man-made virus, but the fact that they were trying to now roll out new pandemics. This is just devastating. That's why Bill Gates, we now know, a few weeks ago was at the White House, and you notice it didn't work. Right after that, all the news about how this was premeditated evil with the poison shots started coming out through Kennedy, and Trump's getting ahead of it because he brought Kennedy in to do this. Remember, somebody leaked part of that Kennedy phone call during the campaign of Trump going, yeah, it looks like these shots are hurting people. Well, we better investigate. So if Trump was in on it, he would not be exposing it. He knows they're trying to set him up for it. I mean, I personally warned him of that. Many others have. That was years ago. He got more and more mad, didn't want to hear it, told Roger Stone he didn't want to hear it. But now Trump, who is famously pig-headed, never likes to admit he was conned or wrong, is starting to do it. And this is so important. I talked to so many people that have talked to Trump, had dinner with him, brought this up to him as well. And he's like, yeah, we better do something. And I said, look for him to make a big move on this soon. He's done it. This is amazing. And so, in my mind, warp speed was one strike against Trump. The way this Epstein stuff's going was two, but I know the Democrats are involved in it. It's Trump, so I was waiting to see. I expect Trump to do the right thing on Epstein as well. Just watch. So praise God. This is so amazing. I'll be doing more.
So if he does, then that means Fauci gets pulled in for criminal charges.
Lord willing. He said they've already started some indictments against Fauci. I don't know. Have you read?
I don't know
Kennedy's
about indictments because you have
Something.
to have the grand juries first.
I'm sorry, the grand jury. Yes, I forget how all that works.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that when the investigation ends, if it starts and when it ends, Fauci is at the head.
Yes,
like Rand Paul has been trying to get this going
He's
for
perjured 2 years
himself.
Mm-hmm.
And Rand Paul went for perjury because he knew he couldn't get him on anything else.
Yes.
But if this investigation is going to go on, which Pam Bondi's going to be the head of it, then you've got to bring this man
to justice.
Right.
Dude, they were so arrogant. I mean, they had the Event 201, and I don't know how much of our audience knows what Event 201 was, but Event 201 was where they basically did a dry rehearsal of how to handle a global pandemic and how that they were going to censor and how they were going to control the media and politicians and doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like in your face. And then like within a few months, they rolled out COVID. And they were so arrogant that they threw this in our face that they were really behind it. Just like after they stole the election in Time magazine, they talked about how they did it. It's just sometimes their arrogance just really ends up getting them in the end.
And unfortunately, and I stand by this position, you have to strategize, and sometimes you have to put people who you really don't want in certain positions, because then they end up having to go in front of Congress. They end up in front of hearings, confirmation hearings, whatever it is, just like this Susan Monterez or whoever it is that was just fired from the CDC. In her confirmation hearing, she had to say certain things in order to be confirmed as the director of the CDC, and now she's compromised. You have to get these people on tape. You have to put them in a position where they are forced to lie so that you can then go and uncover these things. And unfortunately, our government has been so overrun and so overtaken for so long, and the corruption and rot is so deep, it is going to take a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't seen anything, and I know it's gonna. I don't know. We'll see.
It's frustrating. It's exhausting. It's fatiguing. Yes, I'm there. I get it.
Yeah.
Do you all want to hear about another way that our government has been hacked and taken over?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Good old Zionist Pete. Let's see what Pete Hegseth has to say.
Last month, the Department of Defense was made aware of an Obama-Biden era legacy program called Digital Escorts. For nearly a decade, Microsoft has used Chinese coders, remotely supervised by U.S. contractors, to support sensitive DoD cloud systems. The program was designed to comply with contracting rules, but it exposed the department to unacceptable risk. I mean, if you're thinking America first and common sense, this doesn't pass either of those tests. So I initiated an immediate review of this vulnerability, and I want to report our initial findings. So the use of Chinese nationals to service Department of Defense cloud environments, it's over. We've issued a formal letter of concern to Microsoft documenting this breach of trust, and we're requiring a third-party audit of Microsoft's digital escort program, including the code and the submissions by Chinese nationals. This audit will be free of charge for U.S. taxpayers. I'm also tasking the Department of Defense experts with a separate investigation of the digital escort program and the Chinese Microsoft employees that were involved in it. These investigations will help us determine the impact of this digital escort workaround. Did they put anything in the code that we didn't know about? We're going to find out. Additionally, all Department of Defense software vendors will identify and terminate any Chinese involvement in DoD systems. It blows my mind that I'm even saying these things in such common sense that we ever allowed it to happen. That's why we're attacking it so hard. We expect vendors doing business with the Department of Defense to put U.S. national security ahead of profit maximization. I'm committed, like the president is, to ensuring that our national security networks are secure. Again, it's America first, and it's common sense. This never should have happened in the first place, but once we found out about it, we've attacked it aggressively from the beginning, and we're going to follow all the way through the tape to make sure that this is addressed.
Good. And that's great. I mean, that's good. Don't get me wrong, that's good. But the reality is that, like all governments, they gave a bunch of companies the option to bid for this. Microsoft won the bid. They probably won the bid because they could do it cheaper by offshoring the work. Now, I don't know why they did it in China, but maybe it's cheaper in China than it would be in India. India's pretty darn cheap when it comes to offshoring software and running servers. But whatever.
Yeah,
look,
Mark,
it's a good thing, but
Mark, we've been taken over since the assassination of Kennedy. The whole Kissinger plan was to make China great and make it the global model. And they took over America a long time ago. And so that was the push. And so they were letting China, like we were destroying America on purpose. Like that was the globalist plan. So it wasn't like, and I hate it when Trump and now Pete is saying this, like, oh, this is just a stupid policy. No, educate the American people that this was the globalist plan all along, and that they're not stupid, but they're trying to destroy America on purpose. That's why these things don't sound like common sense to us. So you have to make it make sense by educating the American people, which they don't do. And it is rather frustrating.
But what nefarious things is China put in these?
What are you talking about, China?
But people go at, look, China to me is not an enemy.
Oh, man, dude.
Russia to me is not an enemy.
Well, I don't think Russia, I'm with you there on Russia. I don't think Russia.
I think China's the same way. I don't think. Look,
no, dude.
I think it was a good thing, like Sarah Huckabee getting rid of Chinese, owning any Chinese land.
But why were they doing that, Mark? Why were they getting those?
I mean, if the state wants to do it, I'm fine with that. Why were you have to look? Was the companies that were buying the land Chinese government owned, or were they corporations within China. They were corporations with China. But yes, we can argue that the government owns the corporation in some backdoor deal.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then China owns all the companies, and the Chinese government owns all the companies in China. And I know that's not true. So,
well, why do you think? How do you think if they're going to do spying? What do you think they're going to do? How are they going to do it? They're going to use companies. They're going to use college students. They're going. I mean, all this.
Trump let in 600,000 of those.
I know, it's all documented, and we talked about it on the show last week. That was not a very wise decision, which tells us that there's something bigger going on in the background. I think that China had to concede something to allow us to still allow their college students in. So, you know what, Mark? Every once in a while, you're allowed to be wrong on the show. It's okay. It's okay. This is just one of those moments.
I guess time will tell.
we still love you. Yes, China is very much a threat. Now, China is not going with the globalist program, and that really pissed off George Soros and Bill Gates.
And by the way, they're against Israel too. Just saying.
True.
Yeah, that's true. So you have different factions within the globalists movement itself. So China is bucking the globalists. Like the globalists loved it when they had the population control, that they were only allowed to have one or two kids, one kid. And then China said, screw that. We're going to have as many kids. And that really, made George Soros and the globalists very, very angry. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But to say that China isn't our enemy, I think that needs to have a little pushback on, because they still are. They're still seeking dominance.
I just don't see it. I don't see it.
So a lot of people, there are those out there who would make the distinction between Xi and the CCP. And they would say that there's the faction within China itself, and Xi is not part of the CCP. I don't know. I can't prove it.
That might,
I don't have any idea.
Yeah, I think that probably comes from more Q side stuff, but
no, not always. No. So I don't know. I'm not a China expert.
I mean, there are some people that think that Trump and Putin and Xi are kind of coming together to try and get rid of the globalists.
A lot of people.
There are some people that think that. So time will tell. Time will tell. Anyway, what else?
Exactly. Time will tell. Exactly. Which, by the way, China owns roughly 2.5% of our U.S. debt.
Okay.
Bill Gates.
Every single big corporation in the United States does business in China. Every single one of them.
Yes.
On some level.
Yes, that is true.
So.
Kind of getting back to the whole COVID thing and the shots. My wife can tell you the two things that just irked me about Trump was Operation Warp Speed, how we dealt with that, and Israel, right? And so those were the two things. Like, I'm never going to vote for this guy. I can't stand him now, blah, blah, blah. But it's nice to see that he's coming around on Operation Warp Speed. He's investigating Fauci and these other guys. So maybe he knew a little bit more than we gave him credit for. Now, if he can just come around on Israel, man, that would be great. That would be awesome.
Well, I will say I liked what he said when he came out about the whole Catholic shooting of this transgender person, which, by the way, they've all been transgender for the last, 3 years that these things have happened.
Yeah.
But he came out and he said that it wasn't, he goes, guns don't kill people. It's the people that kill people.
Right.
And so I like the fact that he said that.
And Kennedy said, they will be investigating SSRIs. They will be investigating into these trans shooters, who has been in psychiatric care, who has been on SSRIs. Another commonality is that someone in these families, at least with Thomas Crooks, who did the attempted assassination of Trump, as well as this latest transgender shooter, their parents Both
Or
of these
parent.
individuals, their parents or parent, have been involved in the CIA.
Hmm.
This last one for 29 years.
Okay, so okay, because I was talking to my wife, and I said, the mother needs to be charged for what has happened. If and I didn't know at the time if they were under 18 or not. But the reality is, and she came out and said also we need to honor his memory. It should be she, they, is what she said. She's the reason that kid was so messed up.
Yeah.
The parents at some level have to be held accountable.
I don't think that these moms that do this to their children, that believe in this ideology, oh my gosh, they are never going to admit that they are wrong, because to do that means that they have to admit that they destroyed their child's life and probably the lives of many other people.
Now, was this kid under 18? Was he 17? I don't know.
I don't know.
Look it up real quick.
To be honest.
But if he was, then
should be
she
charged.
And her husband should be held accountable for this at some level, whether civil court or criminal court.
Sure.
They should be held accountable.
Agreed.
And for her to come out and say that, it's just insane.
I mean, it's like these old timers talk about, Kennedy talks about all the time. He goes, when I was in high school, man, we would come with our gun racks in our truck, bring guns to the school. No one was killing anybody. He says, so what changed? Well, what changed was these drugs. And, when these companies are not held accountable and there's no real science behind them, and that's what Kennedy's doing. He's pressing the vaccine industry. You have to prove the science. If you can't prove the science, then we're not going to pass it, and you're going to become liable for all the deaths that you cause. And he's doing the same thing with the antidepressants, and he's going after them he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you can't prove it, if you can't prove that there's a chemical imbalance, which that has been proven to be false, that's just a narrative. It's a talking point. It's a slogan that makes people think that there's some kind of science behind this. And there's just not, just like that guy talked about. We've taken the blood samples from both, and there is no imbalance in serotonin levels. So if there's no science behind it, Kennedy's saying we're done with it, and you will be held liable for causing deaths.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they've been able to get away with it in the past by saying, okay, this kid went and shot up a school. He murdered all these little kids, and then he shot himself. Well, we're going to charge you because on your bottle, it says that it causes suicide thoughts and homicidal thoughts too. But their argument, was, well, but he was diagnosed with this condition of chemical imbalance. So they've been always able to pawn it off on the shooter, right? But now Kennedy's like, we're going to prove scientifically that you can't do that anymore. So you will be liable. And this gets back to the whole Rockefeller plan. It goes back to the depopulation plan. They're depopulating us, but they're making money off of us as they're killing us. And that's the point. Someone Joe said, let's get Mike fired up. Well, I'm getting fired up, Joe. And this whole
I got some videos later we'll watch. We'll get it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I hope you got a Paula White one, because then I'll just start throwing stuff around.
Oh man. Yeah, it's I'd love to see that. That was the whole cigarette thing years ago. They were blaming the cigarette companies, and that you could go in and sue the cigarette companies for causing the cancer. The big reason is because they lied to Congress. But all the lawyers got in there and said, oh yeah, now you can, take the cigarette companies to task for your cancer and all that stuff. It feels kind of the same way again with this. I'm 100% behind you. Yes, absolutely. These drugs are ridiculous. And I think they need to be held accountable just as much as the parents. forgiving it, but how far is it going to go? And the whole cigarette fiasco was the only people that made any money were the lawyers.
True.
All right. Well, shifting gears, let's Solomon? You want to?
Yeah, John Solomon. Now,
why don't you cue this up for us?
Now bringing the goods that the Clintons through the DNC asked Ukraine to sway the 2016 election
by a member of the
in
Ukrainian
Hillary's
parliament.
favor.
Let's talk about the tape recording.
Sorry.
Evidence.
Yeah, we don't know.
I don't know why.
Yeah, we don't know much about it because it's floating
Okay,
around
it's
Ukraine.
just
But
gonna
we
go.
do know the general prosecutor of Ukraine, our equivalent of the attorney general, came on our show this morning and said the following: "There's enough evidence for me to open up a criminal investigation into the illicit effort by a Ukrainian to try to influence the United States election in favor of Hillary Clinton." That's a profound statement coming from the top law enforcement official of Ukraine. Why is it important? There's a court in Ukraine that's already concluded that Ukrainian officials leaked Paul Manafort's financial records to try to sway the U.S. election. You haven't heard anything about that in the American press, but that ruling occurred recently. Then a parliamentary member comes out and says, "I have a tape of these law enforcement officials saying they did it specifically to help Hillary Clinton." That becomes the foundation of the Ukrainian investigation.
And you have talked to people that have heard this tape, correct?
Well, the prosecutor himself has heard the tape and said it was important enough, good enough evidence to warrant opening the investigation. So the tape, the court ruling, the top prosecutor in Ukraine says there was a foreign power.
Two separate issues here. Number one,
yes,
did Ukrainian officials offered us evidence that, in fact, they were involved in election interference in 2016 to help Hillary Clinton's campaign? But
Yeah,
I
there are
didn't
two
see
elements of
anybody in the media pursue the interference story, and I thought they cared about interference, but obviously only if it's Russian interference in Trump, because we know they don't care about the dirty Russian dossier.
That's right. Keep in mind that just a few months ago, Sean, we reported on your show and Inside the Hill that Ukraine's embassy in Washington confirmed on the record that back in 2016, the Democratic National Committee, trying to help Hillary Clinton get elected, asked the Ukraine embassy to help interfere in the election by doing two things: dig up dirt on Paul Manafort and have Ukraine's president make a kerfuffle here in Washington about Manafort and Trump when he came to visit. Now, the Ukrainians say they rebuffed that attempt, but Hillary Clinton's campaign, the DNC, made that request, according to the Ukraine embassy in Washington.
Wow.
So, okay. So can the neocons at least say that, Ukraine is corrupt and we shouldn't be supporting them? At the very least, because they'll come out and say Hillary's corrupt.
Well, neocons created UK to be their Ukraine to be their slush fund, their money laundering, their bioweapon. So
well, it's funny that
don't expect anything from them.
Lindsey Graham can come out and do lip service, but do you think he's actually going to do anything?
That's my point.
No.
That's like Sean Hannity comes out. It's like, oh, I broke the story. Okay. Hillary's corrupt. So is Ukraine. Why do you keep supporting them?
Yeah.
Why do you keep having the gay bathhouse guy from South Carolina on your show?
I know. How does that guy keep getting elected?
I don't know, man. I just want to go to South Carolina and go, what is going on? I want to understand.
Because the neocons rig it and keep it just as rigged, just as much as Dems. That's why they don't really want any of this to come out.
Yeah.
Because the gig is up for them as well. Yeah. It's a uniparty.
So is Trump going into California? Is he going after Newsom? What's going on?
I don't think so. I don't think he's going to go in Chicago. I don't think he's going to go to LA. I don't think he's going to go to New York City. I think he's going to let what he's done in DC show everybody that, look, this is, and it was good. Don't get me wrong. I think it was great.
This is the model. This can be done.
This is
but
the model.
Your representatives are not doing it.
Yep.
But if they start a little civil war and they get their little Black Lives Matter and their Antifa soldiers out there burning stuff again, Trump I believe
yes.
He will.
I think he
I
will
agree.
step in,
I
and I
agree.
think he does have the constitutional authority
Mhm.
to do it. So that is interesting. Well, we're at 55 minutes. We got 5 more minutes. You got anything else on your heart and mind, Mr. Mark?
Now I'm going to save this Egan Carroll thing. It came out today. I'll
Oh,
save it for next week, unless you
Sure.
guys. I mean, it's about 2
No,
minutes.
go ahead.
Oh, we
Go
can
ahead.
do it.
We got
Yeah.
time.
This was with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, I think I've seen this. Yeah.
It came out, I guess, a couple hours before we went live. Man, there I go again.
Here we go.
We discovered the world's most prolific child sex trafficking and blackmail ring. We took down the 2 apparent leaders of the network. One allegedly died mysteriously in prison while all the cameras were off and the guards were napping. And the other stood trial and was convicted in a court of law. In Ghislaine's trial, they chose to put the 4 best witnesses on the stand out of a pool of more than 100 accusers. She was
100.
convicted by a jury because of the mountains of evidence that proves her involvement. Not just victim testimony, documentation, photos, videos, financials. We know that Maxwell was recruiting these incredibly young girls herself in person. We know where she was recruiting them from. We know how much she was paying them. We know the tactics that she was using, what she was saying. We know how they were covering it up. We know where the money was being banked. We know who the co-conspirators were, despite them all still walking free.
JP Morgan, by the way, JP Morgan, it has come out. JP Morgan was the bank for all of this.
Okay.
Just saying.
And we have over 100 corroborating witnesses, basically all telling versions of the same story. Ghislaine Maxwell was also charged with 2 counts of perjury that never actually went to trial because the DOJ agreed to settle those counts in order to secure the more important trafficking conviction. The perjury charges didn't go away because they weren't true. They never went to trial at all because they wanted to get things over with and put a bow on it. And then,
so she was proven lying on the stand multiple times. Multiple times.
When Trump is in hot water over Epstein, he sends his good buddy Todd Blanche to record a puff piece where Maxwell tells all the same lies she told on the stand that are demonstrably false. And now you're supposed to believe her. Like, just stop and think about this for 1 second. Imagine that you lock up a murderer after an extensive trial with heaps of evidence, and he's convicted on all that evidence, even though he says that he didn't do anything wrong, right? And then a year later, you go to him in jail and say, hey, did you do it? And he says, no. And so you're like, oh, shit, dude, this dude must be innocent. He says he didn't do it. Case closed. Let's get this guy out. Set him free. He's all good, bro. That is what this thing with Ghislaine is. Okay? But yeah, you're supposed to believe a single word out of this lying demon's mouth. And it's not even about Trump. This is not about Trump. I'm not claiming that this proves anything about the guy. This is way bigger than Trump. And if half the country can pretend like, oh, maybe Ghislaine's a good guy, maybe she's just telling the truth and wasn't even really doing all that much at all, and just because like you want Trump to be some paragon of angelic perfection is psychotic, okay? It's retarded. Stop it. He looks so fucking stupid. It's hard to look at.
All right, so there you go. That was my piece.
Boy, you know what? The pieces you brought up tonight. A financial orgy, I think one was a big balls, and then the F.
Then the F-bomb had to go off.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Thanks a lot.
I know.
But then again, I play Stu Peters, and he drops a few adjectives.
But for real, there was a guy working for Doge whose nickname was Big Ball.
Right.
That's what he was talking
That's what he
about.
was referring to.
I mean, that's
And unfortunately, Big Balls got his butt beat up by trying to protect somebody who was
he did, which is sad, but yeah.
And he ended up in the
Exactly.
hospital, and it was sad.
All right, so the big thing right now is has anyone talked to Racer X and gotten him back?
Man, I haven't heard anybody's.
Somebody needs to get Racer X back.
I know. I feel so bad.
Unless he changed his handle and went with something else.
Yeah.
Somebody on Facebook or X reach
We
out
don't
to
know about.
Racer
Do we have
X.
anything in the
We'll
comments?
keep,
Are you paying attention to anything in the comments? I'm just looking at the comments here, scanning them real quick.
Yeah, there was another simulation, but I think it was blackout, like internet blackout or something that they were simulating at one point.
Well, Operation Lockstep is another thing where they had it all in writing that this is what they were going to do. They were going to usher in a global government through the means of a pandemic. This has always been the plan. All right.
It failed.
And it failed.
Did.
Yes, it did.
Hopefully it continues to fail.
Amen. All right. Well, we're at an hour. Anyone have any parting thoughts?
No Bitcoin videos tonight.
Mark, we're going
to buy gold, buy Bitcoin, buy hard assets. That is the only thing.
We're going to get rid of the Fed, and we're going to go Bitcoin and gold.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, that sounds good. That's what we're going to do.
And stay out of doctor's offices.
Yes, as best you can. Unless you're got in a car accident, go to the hospital. But if they're trying to treat you for a disease, go to a functional doctor.
Yeah.
Go to
I have a nurse practitioner. She's great. She knows not to give me anything, sell me anything. She's great.
Yeah. Find someone who's not going to push all this crap on you. Do
That's
your
right.
research. Don't take any statins. Number one, do not take statins at all for any reason. Understand the importance of cholesterol in your body. It's there for a lot of different reasons.
The older you get, the
more
more cholesterol your body produces for your brain, so you don't get Alzheimer's. There's a reason why you get more cholesterol as you get older. That's the way God designed it. Okay, and you have to look at the kinds of cholesterol that come back in your test as well, right, babe?
Yes, you do.
Tell them about that real quick.
You do. Your biggest concern when it comes to any kind of heart disease, in quotes, would be your triglycerides, not your cholesterol levels themselves. And also you want to look at your inflammatory markers. Inflammation body-wide has much more to do with hardening of the arteries than cholesterols ever will.
Yep, and cancers too.
And cancers. Yep.
Amen.
Yep.
All right. She's not just a pretty face, folks. She's smart.
That's right.
That's why she married me. So. All right. We will see you guys next week. We enjoy all of your comments the best we can. I wish I could read them and do the show at the same time. I'm not that good at this yet. Hopefully.
Sorry, I didn't keep my glasses on to read them.
Yeah, I didn't really see anything. I kind of keep an eye out. If anybody has anything, just
there's some people talking about weird weather. They're still spraying us.
Yeah, I heard that Alex Jones said that they're going after that.
Okay.
And that should be resolved hopefully soon.
Yeah, it's supposedly the state of Tennessee is. Florida supposedly is.
We've been the first one, we were the first state to go after this. And now there's like 30 states doing it.
Yeah.
But I think
who's running for governor of Tennessee?
The Zionist. Yeah, I know. Tim boasted about that. I felt like saying, dude, she's a full-on Zionist. I don't want her as my governor. But I don't know.
What are your alternatives?
Yeah, I know. I mean, other than Israel, she's pretty solid.
Israel,
she is.
She wanted all of the Epstein files out. She has gone after chemtrails.
Yep.
I
agree.
Can't win them all, I guess.
No.
Not everyone's going to be perfect like us, guys. I mean, we just have to admit that. Okay.
And move on.
Move on. All right, brother. We will see you next week.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
All right.